Welcome back. Okay, so in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about managing your emotions. So, we're just going to talk about how to manage your emotions better, some practical ways to manage your emotions and your thoughts before they get the best of you. So, first, I want to talk about selecting the situation. So, first, you want to avoid situations that trigger your negative emotions. So, for example, maybe traffic sets you off. So, leave a little earlier to avoid it. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. So, you're not stuck in this situation that's creating all these negative emotions for you. Or maybe mornings are hectic for you. You got to get the kids ready for school. You got to get yourself ready for work. So prepare the night before, maybe. So you want to do what you can to be proactive so that way you can avoid these negative emotions, avoid these certain situations that will trigger these negative emotions. And second, modify the situation. Lower your expectations and do what is comfortable for you. So, in the example of hectic mornings, maybe you're getting the kids ready and you're setting your expectations too high. You want to get them their hair perfect. You want to make sure their shirts aren't on backwards. I mean, that's silly, but little things, just lower your expectations. Don't expect to be perfect every day. Just kind of take things a little less seriously, be a little more calm. Every day is not going to be perfect. So don't worry about perfection and just lower those expectations whenever you can. And then lastly, shift your focus. So rather than comparing yourself to people who are 5, 10, 15 steps ahead of you, focus on the people who are on your level. So there's a lot of people in business, for example, and they're trying to get to a certain point and they see other people there, but those people have been doing it for how long? They're 5, 10, 20 steps ahead of you. And if you start comparing yourself to that person, it's going to cause you to just freeze. You're going to think, what am I doing wrong? All these thoughts are going to go through your head. So, whenever you are comparing yourself to someone, make sure they're on your level. First, don't be comparing yourself to other people. It's just not healthy. But at least, like if you're trying to get inspired or learn about something, in business or whatever the case may be, just make sure you're, looking at people who are on the same level as you. And that way you can either learn from them or maybe, get inspired by them, or maybe it will show you that you're actually doing pretty good. Maybe you're doing something a little better, something's working for you, but just make sure you don't compare yourself to people who are, way, way above past you and or above you, however you want to look at it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about changing your thoughts. So, changing your thoughts will boost your confidence and mood. And I know it's not easy, but over time, this takes practice. I like to think about my goals, like when I'm somewhere I don't want to be, like at work and I'm having a bad day. I like to start thinking about my goals, and then I think, okay, I'm not going to be here forever. I get excited about it. I get motivated to go home and start working on my goals. So, do your best to change your thought. I talked about this in the last lesson, how you can think about those positive thoughts that you've had in the past and just kind of recollect those positive thoughts and keep those in mind so you know what to kind of think about when that time comes, because changing your thoughts leads to action. So you can relate to this, I'm sure, when you're having a bad day, you have all these things to do, and you end up doing what? Nothing, right? This is just our nature because we feel so overwhelmed. We feel, negatively about the situation because there's so much to do. So it's just bringing us down, and so we don't take action. But when you change your thoughts to say, thinking about your future, thinking about your goals, where it's going to lead you, getting excitement, creating excitement, however you can, whenever you can, will lead to action. So just remember that over time. I mean, it does take time, it takes practice, and it's not always going to work either. So don't be hard on yourself. There's times when it's just like, for me, I'm just in a bad mood. No matter how much I think about my goals, it's just like, no, I want to get myself out of this situation. I want to go home and practice some self-care because I'm not in the mood. It doesn't work every single time, but it helps me a lot of the time because I've gotten so used to it. So over time, it will get easier for you. Because that kind of leads me to the next point, is changing your thoughts changes the neural pathways in your brain, making it easier to feel positive in the long run. So it's basically like creating a habit. because those neural pathways in your brain are going to start changing. They're going to start shifting, like, oh, this is what's normal. It's going to want to go this way instead of that way. It's not going to want to go down that negative path. It's going to want to go down the positive path, because over time, this is what your brain starts evolving into. It starts evolving into the positive rather than the negative. So again, it won't always go perfectly, but you can train your brain to change the thoughts that are holding you back. Okay, it just all takes practice, it takes consistency and doing it over and over and over again. And I talked about this in the previous lesson, but I wanted to bring it up again. Ask yourself if the thoughts are useful. And even if they're true, they probably aren't useful. Okay, so this helps you kind of change your thoughts too, because once you start realizing, okay, this isn't useful, this isn't making me feel good, you can instantly change your thoughts, and your emotions might not always follow, but eventually they will, and you're changing your thoughts to at least stop bringing you down more and more and more, because you're realizing this isn't helping me, this isn't useful. And so change your thoughts if they are not useful, even if they're true. Okay, so now we're going to talk about mindfulness. So mindfulness means being intentional. It means noticing what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you're feeling. It's being really in tune with yourself. So notice when you're feeling anxious. That way you can take a look at what's making you feel anxious and maybe change that situation, get out of that environment, change your way of thinking. Okay, so that brings me to the next point, is identify the source. That way you can change the way you're thinking, feeling, or wherever you are, change your environment. And say to yourself, I don't deserve to feel bad about anything. Okay, make a conscious effort to stop negative thoughts. You have to make a conscious effort, and that all comes from being mindful, because a lot of us, we kind of just go through the motions of feelings, of these thoughts. We're not paying attention to them enough to say, okay, I don't want to think that way, I don't want to feel this way, I don't want to be in this environment. We just kind of go through the motions. We have to take care of ourselves and think about what we really want, what makes us feel good, and that is being mindful about your thoughts and feelings. Okay, so distract yourself when you start feeling negative emotions before they get out of control. So again, being mindful, you're mindful of it, you realize it. Okay, you notice whatever, let's say it's a thought. So now you want to distract yourself. Okay, you realize it and you're like, okay, now I need to get out of this thought. I need to get out of this state of mind. So now I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to go watch a movie. Distractions help those neural pathways change, because you're getting out of that negative thinking quicker. The quicker you get out of it and bounce back, that's when those neural pathways will start changing in your brain and eventually start leading in that direction automatically. Your brain will start to, that will be the default. It'll be more positive rather than negative. Okay, so I said I was going to talk about this, which is the stress refractory period. So I told you guys in a previous lesson that I was going to be talking about this. So here it is. So the stress refractory period, it allows the stress to come. So you allow stress to come, then you let it go. So it comes, but you let it go. You don't dwell on it. You don't sit there and think about it for weeks and days and hours, because this is what causes this is what causes like chronic stress. Okay, because everybody stresses. We all stress. It's just normal. Anxiety is normal. But what causes it to get out of hand, and what causes like us to have, high functioning anxiety and chronic stress, is having that thought or whatever it is go on for long periods of time. We don't get over it. We kind of just dwell on it over and over and over again. And then we have these negative thoughts. We start overthinking. So do not dwell on what you cannot change. Dwelling on your stress will turn into your mood. It'll eventually turn from just a thought to actually your mood, and then it'll become part of your personality over time. So when you reduce your stress refractory period, that's when you are able to kind of just stress about something and then just kind of let it go without even thinking about it too much. So when you reduce the stress refractory period, you prevent stress from taking over your life and becoming chronic, as we just mentioned. Okay, so this one is really important. It doesn't seem like, I guess, what people would normally think about, but faith. Have faith in what you repeat to yourself. I mentioned, I think before, that we can have a thought, like people always tell you, oh, think positive. But even if you're thinking positive, that doesn't necessarily make positive emotions come. I mean, unless it's a belief, you actually believe it. And we talked about that, changing your beliefs. That will allow emotions to become positive, like immediately, because you believe what you're telling yourself. But when you don't believe what you're telling yourself, what does that come down to? It comes down to faith. You have to have faith in what you're telling yourself. Believe your positive thoughts by using your faith. We have faith every day in everybody else, right? We don't think about this, but we have faith that whoever's cooking our meals at the restaurants or fast food place, we have faith in them, right? We have faith that when we get up and get in our car and start driving, that someone's not going to come run us over, right? So we use our faith every day, just not consciously, like we're not thinking about it. But you have to have faith in what you tell yourself. Have faith that things will work out. Have faith that things will change and turn out better for you. So your faith doesn't have to mean faith in a higher power. It doesn't have to just mean like faith in God. Some people don't believe in God, but if that's your faith, that's totally fine. But just faith that you will do whatever is necessary to survive. Have faith in yourself. Have faith that, again, things are going to work out. Okay. Faith is all that we have. That's all. I mean, that's all we can really go off of and rely on. So again, we use faith daily in other people, but rarely in ourselves. So try to use more faith. That'll help you to start changing your beliefs, and it'll help you to start feeling your emotions be a little more positive. Okay, so that is it for day 4. So I will see you guys tomorrow for day 5. Don't forget to mark your calendar or set a notification to open my email up by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And tomorrow's lesson is our last lesson, day 5, which is we're going to be talking about inner peace, how to cultivate inner peace, which is really, really important when it comes to managing your anxiety, managing your emotions, feeling happy, feeling content with your life. This is a really, really important topic. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Take care.